O Father, have we failed you? O Mother, have you turned your back on us? What price must we pay for you to send your child unto us? For the chained and the scarred, for the broken and the damned, let us never forget the redemption price.
Welcome to The Black Butterfly, Book 1 of Sacred Blood by Sarah Uher. Prologue. Heed the call. Axel. Hungry, always hungry. Axel crawled through the refuse of the dirty, unpaved alley, turned to mud from the rain that had fallen in the night. Sifting through the scents of humans, cats, dogs, and other animals, he searched for something to fill that aching need in his belly. He found the carcass of a raccoon. Too long dead. Too picked clean. Nothing was left for him. The chittering sound of rats came to him in the wind. Axel lifted his head and sniffed, catching their odor of musk and refuse. He followed that life-giving scent through the mud. Buildings of wood and thatch rose on either side of him, clay between the timbers. The dwellings looked ready to fall over at the slightest breeze. The inhabitants only maintained them enough to keep them standing. Hunger was the constant friend of all who lived in this part of the city. He saw them in the dim before dawn and slowly stalked them on all fours as they dug through the trash, looking for anything to sate the hunger that gnawed in their bellies. With a lunge, he managed to grab one of the two fattest rats, and the rest scattered in all directions. The sound of its neck snapping was wet as it screamed before it went still in his hands. He bit down into its side and began to feast on the raw flesh, sweet but too little meat. Warm blood coated his lips, chin, and hands as he ate, but all too soon, the rat was gone, and hunger reminded him that the meal was not enough. There was never enough. Just as the sun broke the horizon, Axel froze as a sudden gust of wind brought him the fragrance of freshly baked bread and campfires. That wonderful aroma brought with it the longing for a pack and home. Along with the longing, the sound of a baby crying with its first breaths came to him as the wind whispered, "Go to Queen's cradle. The mercy of heaven is born to build the world anew." Axel shook himself as the wind left just as suddenly as it came. His gaze fell to the west, and he left the bones of his meager meal and the dirty alley behind. As the sun climbed higher and banished the darkness of the night, the streets began to fill with humans going about their business. Craftsmen and workers tried to survive without drawing the attention of the guardsmen who patrolled the streets. A slight change in the wind brought their sense to him, the sickly sweet aroma of fresh death just beginning to rot. Dampiers, the unnatural bastards of the vampires. He began to jog towards the gate. All that filled him was a desire, no, a need to go west. A tether that pulled him towards something far greater than himself. As he left, he paid no heed to the snow-capped mountains to the north or the sparkling lake bordering the south, fed by a river that cut through the city's center. Go to Queen's cradle. The mercy of heaven is born to bridge the old with the new. Axel broke out into a run when he was far enough from the city. He felt the electric tingles of the wild magic of the Nyx Lycaena shoot across his body as, from one step to the next, he went from running on 2 legs to 4. He could feel the dirt beneath his paws as his claws tore into it, bringing him the aroma of fertile soil. The wind rushed through his chestnut fur and brought the music of the forest to him, a symphony of Anuga's beloved wild children. He felt free as the wind whispered the Moon Mother's promise. No more would he only shift on the coldest nights to hide and shiver, praying no dampiers would find him and put an end to his life. No more would his kind hide among the human dredges of a broken society fed upon by locusts. Go to Queen's cradle. The mercy of heaven is born to call all beasts with her voice. He ran from dawn till dusk, passing through fields and clusters of trees, and only stopped for small breaks to sleep and drinks of water to quench his thirst as he continued to heed the call of the Moon Mother. Axel kept off the road as he was always driven onward. He avoided plantations and towns, all the places vampires ruled, and would kill any wolf that dared to shift. Sometimes, he would catch a rabbit unaware, but that tether continued to pull him. Axel had lost track of time when he came to the top of a hill surrounded by golden wheat fields gently swaying in the wind. He saw the great oak towering over a vast forest bordered on the west by a mountain range. The sun slowly fell behind the mountains as he gazed at the great oak of Queen's Cradle. Go to Queen's Cradle, the mercy of heaven is born to heal the scars with her song. Axel ran through the night, never taking a break for water, food, or rest. As the moon set and the sun began to rise once more, mother and father ever chasing each other in an eternal dance. He passed under the branches of the first trees, and a feeling of home and peace settled over him. Axel couldn't see the great oak anymore, but he knew the rope that latched onto him guided him there. Others like him were in the forest, pulled by the same promise. From time to time, he caught glimpses of them. Wolf pelts in a rainbow of hues from grays to rust browns. As they all ran towards the same goal, it felt like the forest was weaving a bond around them. Lover, friend, child, sibling, parent, pack. The closer Axel came to the great oak, the more aware he was of the others. From the orphan girl with a coat of red and white barely past her first change to the old man whose brown coat was speckled with white, his face almost entirely white from age. The mercy of heaven is born to tame the wrath of heaven with the heart of peace and banish the eternal Ishmelga. The sun had long past set once more as they all came upon a lake in the center of the forest. Moonlight from a full moon filtered through the forest canopy was the only illumination. The great oak stood tall and proud on an island in the center of a crystal-clear lake. A man lay against the massive trunk at the tree's base as if taking a nap. As the man began to stir, the 14 wolves watched him as he stood. When he saw the wolves, he walked towards them, and as he stepped onto the water, he did not sink in. As he drew closer to the waiting wolves, the moonlight shined on more of his features. His hair was cut short to his head and as dark as onyx, except for the streak of silver at his right temple. A long braid at the base of his skull swayed behind him as he walked across the water towards them, wrapped in white, orange, blue, red, and green. His clothes were made from fine dark leather, his boots laced to his knees. A bow and bristling quiver were strapped to his back, and at the small of his back, he had 2 short spiked maces with intricate handles latched to the leather belt he wore. On his left hip was a sheathed long dagger with a carved handle. As the man stepped onto the shore, he looked at the wolves before him with silvery purple eyes. He walked with a deadly grace as he approached Axel, cupping his face with one hand as the other braced the wolf's back. The man buried his face into the warm fur of Axel's neck and breathed deeply of his scent. The aroma of Lunis flowers tickled Axel's senses, reminding him of Anuga's lost sons and daughters. Fangs pierced through his fur and skin, and he felt the press of this strange man's mind on his own. Axel was unafraid and willingly opened up to him as he tasted his blood and memories. The man's mind was gentle inside Axel's as he sifted through it all. In turn, he told Axel his name, Salas. While this man, Salas, sifted through all that Axel knew and was, the young wolf could feel the pain of a deep wound inside him. He could feel the pain only increase as Salas learned what it was to be a wolf, learned what the vampires had become and how far they had fallen. Such pain. How does he bear it? Axel wondered. Duty and honor. The man responded to Axel's silent question. Then, the man grinned with a dark gleam. Duty, honor, and the desire for vengeance. As Salas looked around at the assembled wolves that had moved to surround him, that dark grin softened into the smile of a father addressing his pups. The alpha with the heart of flame is born. Soon, they will find their way here, to Queen's Cradle. So, we shall wait for them. That was all he said. As one, the wolves threw their heads back and howled. A joyous, clear song rang out through the forest as the Moon Mother shone down on all her children, those who heeded her call and those who could not. Kieran. Everything hurt. Tiny muscles ached as bruises and welts screamed at him as the rough wool of the plain bed beneath him irritated them. The boy's room was sparse, if only a little larger than the slaves' rooms. His father held position and power in the army of their master, though not as much as his grandfather. From the first day Kirin could lift the swords, his father had drilled and trained him. No mercy was shown to the little boy. Their master wanted killing machines that obeyed his every command. So, Horus would turn his son into the weapon Lord Frostfang desired. Tears leaked out of his eyes as he curled in on himself. "Mommy," he whimpered out, longing for the mother his father had said died. Why did she leave him all alone? A breeze came in through the open window of the small room, carrying with it the aroma of freshly baked bread and the flour he didn't know the name of. He stilled at the scent of his mother. He would know that scent no matter how long since she had left him. It was so different from his father's cologne of coffee and tobacco. The perfume embraced him and held him, filling him with a sense of peace and love. No voice spoke to him, but he understood the message as his mother's loving embrace gently guided him to peaceful sleep and sweet dreams. "You are not alone, my sweet one. I am here and I will always love you." He dreamed of running through the forest, soft earth meeting fierce paws as the moon shined among a sea of stars. And two others ran with him towards the promise written in their blood. A tiger with fur that glittered like silver and gold. Eyes of molten gold with diamond pupils shined in the darkness. Her scent was freshly baked bread and campfires on a summer night. As she moved through the forest, he could see two golden tigers moving by her side like ghosts and the hissing roar of beasts that also called to his blood. An ephemeral black wolf chased after her to the sound of a dragon's roar echoing in the dead of winter. The second had fur of black and silver and clear blue eyes like the sky had been turned into jewels. As he moved through the trees, he seemed to shift between the form of a wolf and that of a tiger. The wolf smelled of spring and new life, while the tiger smelled of fall and the harvest. Kirin never saw the change, but he knew the wolf and the tiger were one and the same. Twin ravens of white and black flocked to him. In the reflection of a crystal-clear lake, Kirin could see himself as he looked into the water. Ebony fur that drank the light covered his muscled body, and only the thick mane that framed his face held the hints of crimson that ran through his bloodline. Amber eyes shined with a light from within like candle flames among the shadows. "Walk fierce and proud, my son, for you are Luris al-Lurin Furion, and fire's sacred blood flows within you, even as you walk through the shadows cast by the flame." He looked out across that crystal-clear lake to the island at its center. The base of a massive oak stood there, watching over all who dwelled here, and a woman that was moonlight-given form danced. The silver tiger nipped at his hind leg playfully, and he looked at her, the other watching them from nearby as the ravens perched upon his shoulders. They wanted to run towards that promise. He glanced back to the woman. She smiled at him a moment before she burst into black butterflies that swarmed around him. The silver tiger roared, and he felt her voice call to him. He answered that call eagerly, chasing after the other two. "Lord Frostfang." In the mountains that overlooked the eternal forest, Frostfang moved through sword forms beneath the branches of the frost blossom tree in his private garden. Forms drilled into him centuries ago at the temple of the Winter Sword. The bare blade glittered in the moonlight as it flashed in deadly arcs, and he smiled at the thought of the blade cutting through flesh. No sweat glistened on his coppery skin, which had paled from centuries spent in the night despite the heat in the heart of summer. His black hair was cut short on top, but the rest was braided in a thick braid the length of his sword and wrapped in a ribbon of purest white. As he moved fluidly in the light of the moon and stars, that braid danced before his eyes for a moment. The memory of the day he first wrapped his braid and spoke the oaths of the divine blades skittered across the outskirts of the calm void he had managed. Oaths he had broken tenfold. Oathbreaker. Kinslayer. The void shuddered at the memory of that night, sapphire eyes flashing to ruby, then back again. "They betrayed me." He paused in perfect stillness at the start of the following form. He heard the double doors open, and the rotten musk of rats soiled the aromatic symphony he had curated in his garden. The sound of a damper trying to stop the fledgling of Lord Remus from barging into the garden uninvited clashed with the song of the mountain cicadas. The void began to crack at the intrusion, and he embraced the ruby rage eagerly. The insufferable lord had sent him another request for one of the 5 dragon eggs Frostfang had obtained. Faster than the vampire could react, Frostfang's sword struck out as he moved like a dream and sliced through the other's neck in a silver arc. The vampire looked surprised as he turned to Ash, and the Black Raven claimed him. Seraphina was curled up to the side, watching the entire exchange with eyes the color of ice. Her cobalt scales glittered in the firelight of the few lanterns around the garden. I assume your answer to Remus is no then? It was more a statement than an inquiry. Remus is a fool to think I would give him one of the eggs. He sheathed his blade and watched the ash swirl in a soft breeze that swept away the discordance from his sanctuary. He frowned and looked up as the scent of a frost blossom in summer drifted to him. A single bud was growing on the branch above him among the emerald leaves, blossoming before his eyes. When it had fully opened, it fell from the tree whole. Frostfang held out his hand without thought, and the blossom landed there softly. The blue petals seemed brighter against his copper skin, and the moment they touched his hand, the song of beasts reached him on the wind in a song of defiance. He shivered for the first time in over 800 years as the voice of his mother softly whispered inside his very soul. Will you continue down this path of darkness? Or will the sacred blood of Sanlor Renelkin break through the winter storm of your soul?
Enter the world, but tread with care. Those roots remember every prayer. Carved from ash, from bone, from flame. The sacred beasts don't play or game. Here change comes, swift on silver wing, with dragonflies that bite and sting. Truth flickers soft and sharp as steel, and every wound must learn to heal. Don't come armed with hollow lore. This world won't let you fake the war. For those who think they understand, you'll bleed the fastest by your hand. So read and ache, be torn apart. These stories rise from broken hearts. With grit and teeth they scream and soar. You've never known a world like this before.